I'm an advocate of doing the deep work, coming out on the other side of my own personal mental health journey. And I say that very loosely because that doesn't mean it's finished. Okay, I say coming out on the other side because I had to dig deep, and I've done that already. In doing that, I have uncovered so much stuff that I had no idea even existed. And that's a good thing, because that has allowed me to be the person I am today. It has allowed me to become a much better version of myself. Not just to be better for me, but to be better for everyone else around me. So today I'm leaving an appointment. I had some life stuff come up, and I was kind of told in so many words that I need to go back and do some more deep work. Well, the deep work still needs to be done. I do still have some things that need to be uncovered a little bit differently. So let me just go ahead and go back and explain what's going on. In 2021, I got to a point where even though I was farther along than I had been emotionally and mentally, I still had stuff that I needed to work through, and I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know how to do that. So I reached out, I'm a veteran. I reached out to the VA, and I finally admitted that I needed some help. I need some assistance here. Well, after, having the call and stuff like that, I was placed in a therapy, and I call it regular therapy. So I went to my regular therapist for a while, and she was a veteran as well. And, we would have great conversations, but one of the things that she eventually made me come to realize is there was a lot of stuff in my past that I really needed to uncover, because if I didn't do that, it was going to be very difficult to go where God is trying to take me, basically. Okay. And if you don't believe in God, then okay, fine. But the universe is trying to take us somewhere. And if we keep fighting against that, we're never going to get there. All right. So I'll just say that. So that's where my journey started as far as doing the deep work. I ended up in EMDR. It's eye movement desensitization rehabilitation, I believe. I can't remember the R. I always get messed up on the R. But anyway, look it up. I started that, and I had an amazing therapist. She had a lot of experience, ton of experience, years of experience. So she was able to help me uncover things. Now, it took 9 months, and I've heard some are longer. So just know that it is a journey, right? Well, as we're uncovering things, it was very tough for me, to be quite honest. It was very, eye-opening. It was, after the therapy sessions, it was rough. I mean, there was times I would sit in my car and just trying to process everything, and I couldn't, because a lot of the things that were coming up were things that I just didn't have the answers to. My mom passed away in 2009. My stepdad's not here. My grandparents are gone, right? So the people that had the answers, they're no longer here, right? So now I'm like overanalyzing, trying to figure it out. And in all reality, I couldn't. So my therapist kept having to help me get through that. So there was times where I would write letters. There was times where she would act like the person that I needed to talk to, and I would shut my eyes and, do that. She knew how to facilitate all those things. So that worked out for me. Well, that was in 2021. Now, at the end of that year is when I, put the gun to my chin. There was so many things that had come up, and I was so just exhausted mentally. But I wasn't planning on firing the gun ever. if I wanted to, I would have done it, right? But I am a visual person. And so when I did that and I looked in the mirror, and then my immediate thoughts were, what, if you watch my other video, my immediate thoughts were like, okay, if I do this, what if my daughter walks in first, And that literally made me put it down. Like, just that thought. I don't want her, I don't want to ever devastate her like that, right? Like, she means the world to me. So why would I do that to her? So that was my thought. That was 2021. So in 2022, I felt kind of renewed at that point. And I had all these tools, the tools that I help other people with and the tools that I learned in therapy. Like, I had all these tools now that I had to use. And I used them. And it's, there was some chaos. There's always stuff. Life is always going to happen. But as long as I remember to grab the tools, I'm okay. I'm at peace. Well, pretty recently, I felt like I wasn't at peace. There was a lot of chaos. There was some things that came up. And I got told about another therapy that goes back into your past called NET. It's neuro-emotional technique. It is, I guess, eventually going to replace EMDR. But because I've already done EMDR, when I started the NET, it really kind of set me back, to be honest. I struggled, because there was things that came up. Now it's even deeper, right? Like, now it's like, oh, there's things that I'm struggling with from when I was in the womb. I don't remember that, obviously. I don't know what my mom was going through at that time. So I don't know, what she was feeling or whatever, because those emotions get transferred. I do know that she didn't have a lot of self-confidence. I do know that she had some shame and some guilt and things that she was holding on to. So those emotions transferred to me as I'm in the womb, and this happens. Now I know that. So I do believe that first session was necessary. However, to keep going and doing it, to keep digging and trying to keep going back in the past, like it just, where God is trying to take me right now is forward, right? And because I've done the hard work now, I will encourage anyone, if you have not done that deep work, you should. You really should. If you've never done it, you should. But because I already had done a lot of it, I'm a whole lot farther ahead than someone who hasn't. So coming into the NET, and this is more of a body, your body is showing emotions. It's really interesting, and I believe wholeheartedly that I will do it one day because of how interesting it was to me. I just don't believe this is the right time for me. Because when I went to the appointment last time, I was so emotionally drained that I fell asleep at like 5 o'clock that day. I didn't get anything done that I was supposed to get done. And the next day I was also drained. And so I had to really think about that. Like, I'm progressing forward and I'm going up the mountain, but if I keep digging back in the past, it's like every 5 steps that I take forward, I'm going to get knocked down 10 more. Right? And it's going to take a lot longer. Now I've already done that though. I have a blog. I think it's 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. And I can't remember. I might have that backwards. Maybe I said 5 steps forward and 2 steps back, because that way you're still progressing, right? But either way, like, it's very difficult to get where we're trying to go if we're constantly looking in the rearview mirror. So there's that saying of, the front windshield is so much bigger than the rear view for a reason, right? Like, there's a reason that the rear view is bigger. The front windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror. Because even though it's important to uncover the things that are holding us back in life, we cannot keep thinking about the past. We can't keep digging. We're gonna make mistakes. We are human beings. And, you know, if you are a believer, Jesus died on the cross for our sins. He did that for us. So now, does that give me an excuse to go keep sinning? No. I do need to work on myself. I do need to get better at some things. I do have some things that I still need to work on. I know that. But I'm a whole lot farther along than I used to be. Okay? You know, I used to drink my pain away. I don't do that anymore. That's progress in itself. And when I did drink, I would find myself in situations that I shouldn't have been in. Well, now I don't drink like that, and I don't find myself in those situations. I'm sober. I know what the heck I'm doing, right? So that is progress. I am a lot more aware these days. So again, I do believe wholeheartedly that I needed to go through the EMDR, and if I had known about the NET first, I probably would have done this first, but I didn't. And so now going through the NET was just like a whole slap in the face. It was like I had recovered, and it was interesting because my therapist and I just talked about this, and I love it. I said, I'm gonna have to use that, because we started talking about surgery. And sometimes we need surgery and sometimes we don't, right? Like sometimes we can use the tools, right? Like we can stretch, we can use a Theragun, or now I do cupping for people, right? Like we have all these other tools, chiropractor, right? So now you're managing the pain. You're doing the things that you need to do because you're not able to have the surgery yet. So that's what we talked about with the NET. The NET was surgery. It was basically like, I'm having surgery. And so, you know, I think I just finally had recovered somewhat from the EMDR, and then it's like, oh, let's open you back up. Let's do more surgery. And so I told her about my wrist surgeries, because I had 2 wrist surgeries, and that's exactly what we had to do. It was like, oh, I just recovered from the other one, but let's do another one because it didn't help. That's different, right? There are some times that we do need to have the surgery if it's bad enough, right? Like if I wasn't recovering at all, if I didn't feel like I was progressing in life at all, then I would need another surgery, which is what the NET would be. But because I have come a whole lot farther than I ever was before, professionally and personally, I just don't feel like a surgery is beneficial right now. So that's what she and I talked about, and it was great. We had a great conversation. She wholeheartedly agreed with me. And that's the thing too, like there's a lot of different therapists. There's a lot of different coaches. There's a lot of different doctors, right? But we have to do the research, and then we have to have that alignment, right? Like I had alignment with her the first time I met her. So in that case, I knew that I could have this conversation with her. So we didn't even do it like a real therapy session today. It was this conversation, and then she just charged me for half of the session, and she allowed me, you know, she's like, okay, I'm releasing you, right? And I do that with people too. Like if you don't need me anymore, then you don't need me anymore, right? I'm gonna release you. So in that aspect, it's like we have to know ourselves enough to understand that there are some things that are necessary and some things that aren't. I am an advocate of mental health. Do I need people around me that I can talk to? Yes, but I have those people. It was funny. I told her, I said, I don't think it's any coincidence that both of my business partners are in mental health. One is, she's got a master's in psychology. The other one's a licensed therapist, right? Like, and then I have one of my other best friends, you know, he's a licensed therapist now. And so there's no coincidence there, okay? But that's the thing. I have good people around me now who are keeping me afloat, right? I even have another good friend who I call him my behavioral health therapist, because, you know, we have to have good people around us who are keeping us afloat, and we do the same, right? It's that reciprocation. It's like, okay, when you're sinking, I'm gonna throw you the life raft. When I'm sinking, please throw me the life raft, right? And we're keeping each other going, and those are the people that we have to keep around us. So know the people, look at your circle. I used to hear this all the time, but now I know just how important it is. Know your circle, see the people you have around you. You know, like I use Convene Communities as the platform of choice for all of my teaching and coaching. There's a reason for that, though. It's not just because of the platform, it's also because of the people. All of us are lifting each other up. We're collaborating, we're working together. My business partner Denise with Invest with Her Club, like that's what we do, right? Like we're coaching other people, we're helping them, we're lifting them up, and then we can all come together and do the same for each other, you know. So it's bigger than just the name. It's bigger than just the platform. It's bigger than just the the business side of it. It's family. It's building families, right? We're working together, and we have to have those people around us in order to progress. So if you have anything negative, if you have someone negative in your life, or someone who is not allowing you to grow, who just keeps thinking about all the negative stuff you've done, it's going to be very, very difficult. I'm saying this from personal experience because I know it. It's going to be very, very difficult to get to a point where you feel good about yourself and you're able to thrive. So for me, I feel like now I have enough self-awareness to be like, okay, I know now that I have come a long way. And while I know now also that there's still some things that need to be uncovered eventually, it's just not time to have the surgery right now. And maybe one day it will be, and maybe it won't be. I'm not sure. But I'm just grateful that I have that awareness to know, you know, if I need to cry, I'm going to cry. If I say, hey, give me a moment, right? We have to be okay with doing that. It's not this, we have to stop suppressing our feelings. And I've done this my whole entire life, which is what EMDR helped me with. I don't necessarily suppress them anymore. I might not know how to express them in words, but I don't suppress them anymore. You know, if I'm crying, it could be 5 different emotions at one time, but just let me have them, right? And then I'm okay after that. And that's the thing that we have to be okay with saying. Like if you're, you know, around other people and you can't hold it together, well, if you feel like you have to hold it together in front of those people, you should probably not be around those people, you know? And that's the thing that we have to understand. So I wanted to do this video for a couple different reasons. For one, I wanted to let anyone out there know that, like, you know, if you're finding yourself in these vicious cycles and you feel like you're running in circles and you're not able to figure out why, then I definitely believe that one of these therapies, either EMDR or NET, will definitely benefit you. Okay? But if you've already dug and you've already gone through and done a lot of the deep work, you might not need to reopen those wounds. You might just need to have the right people around you that keep you afloat when you're not, when you feel like you're sinking. There's times where I do feel like I'm sinking, plenty of times. But that's the thing, I have the right people in my corner now. So if I'm sinking, I know that one of them will throw me a life raft. And if that raft doesn't work, the other one's going to throw me a different one. And between 3 little life rafts, like, I better stay afloat, right? It's not always, one person can't always make us whole. One person, we have to be whole from within, first of all. And that's a spiritual thing, right? We can't rely on people to make us whole. However, we need to make sure that the people around us are at least not impacting us in a negative way. All right. So I want you to examine your circle. I want you to examine yourself. Those are the 2 reasons I'm doing this video, is to help you examine your circle and to help you examine yourself. Because if we're not self-aware, we're never going to be able to progress in life. And I know that firsthand, because if I didn't have the self-awareness that I have now, for one, I would have kept doing this therapy and it would have been taking me out every single time. But for 2, I wouldn't have had the confidence to say, hey, this is how I feel, you know? And she accepted all of it. And she was just like, I respect you for, you know, being able to stand on that and, you know, and being able to express how you feel about this. Like, that's huge for me. You know, as a recovering people pleaser, I used to be like, well, no, I don't want to let, you know, so-and-so down, even though I'm paying her, right? Like, so I'm not really letting her down, right? Like, but she was so just receptive to it and appreciative of it. And it actually, she even said this, it actually taught her something, because now she can see both sides. You know, maybe not everybody needs the surgery, like she was saying. You know, it was a great analogy. I was like, I am totally using this in my coaching at some point. Like, it was such a great analogy, because most of us have had some type of surgery, right? So we can all relate to that, right? Like, do you want to go back in and have surgery again, if you've already had it? So, you know, but there are times where you need it, you know, and the benefits have to outweigh the costs. And right now, in my life right now, as it is, the benefits don't outweigh the cost. Now, when I was going through EMDR, they did, you know, and I didn't see it at that time, because, I mean, it was, if anybody's gone through EMDR, it's rough. It is rough. You're uncovering things. I mean, I had 40 years of things that I was uncovering, right? So it can be really tough, but we can get through it. And it is important, because then we become a better version of ourselves, and that allows us to do more. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helps you in some way, shape, or form. Please share it with anybody else you know that needs to hear it. And I'll be sharing it on different platforms as well. But just know that you are enough, and you have everything inside of you that you need to become the best possible version of yourself. And it is surrounding yourself with people who help you get there a little bit faster, or hold you accountable and don't let you sink. But the self-awareness piece of it is just so super important. And it's having the confidence to say, you know what, this is who I am. And if you don't like me, you don't like me. If you feel some type of way about who I am, then maybe you're not the right person for me, and maybe I'm not the right person for you. And it's being okay with that, no matter what it looks like. So I just want to encourage you to be okay with not being okay all the time, and also be okay with not everybody's meant to be in your life the way it might look right now. Okay? Know yourself, know what you need, and don't be afraid to express it. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.